Gentlemen, welcome to an evening of profound insight into men's health. We are delighted to introduce our distinguished speaker for this special event, the eminent Erin Worden, also known as the Juice Doctor. The Juice Doctor, a clinical nutritionist, detox specialist, and integrated wellness practitioner, is a beacon of health and wellness. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom, as the Juice Doctor takes us on a transformative journey towards optimal health. Not only is the Juice Doctor a gifted speaker, but he's also the visionary force behind multiple revolutionary brands. Through Ask Juice Doctor, he fuses cutting-edge biotechnology with natural cleansing and juice nutrition to achieve optimal health and natural healing from within. And now, introducing Effective Man by Ask Juice Doctor, a health club for men, where he will embark on a journey to guide and coach men to their ultimate well-being. But that's not all. The Juice Doctor is also the driving force behind MI Healthcare, a multifaceted health practice offering cutting-edge solutions, personalized nutritional therapy, and naturopathy using the functional medicine approach. And last but not least, Vivo Nutrients, where the Juice Doctor promotes freedom through well-being, equipping people with the knowledge, tools, and lifestyle changes required to take charge of their health. On the 9th of November, we invite you to be part of a transformative experience with the Juice Doctor, a true authority in men's health. Gentlemen, get ready for an evening of enlightenment and empowerment with Erin Worden, the Juice Doctor. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
So you want great health, optimum vitality. With health being a global priority and inflation skyrocketing, time and money matter more than ever. So start working smarter, not harder. Introducing OxyFlush by My Healthcare Group. Natural health solutions that provide real results. You see, great health begins in the gut. In fact, the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, said all disease begins in the gut. Over 70% of your immune system is also in the gut, so it's critically important to keep this area in optimal condition. OxyFlush helps quickly remove accumulated waste and associated toxins from clogging up the colon and preventing proper absorption of nutrients beneficial to your health. The impact is felt body-wide as immune cells are freed up to attend to other areas in need of attention. So, working smarter couldn't be easier. Clean your colon, lose weight and show off the healthier you. Powered by My Healthcare Group, makers of OxyFlush.
Oh, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's see who's in the house, because this is a whole new technology and I'm just trying to get used to how it works. So, welcome to Ask Juice Doctor, the Effective Man show, first one today for the season. Let's see who we have in the building tonight. Wayne Lewis, welcome. Good evening. Excellent. Because you know what? I can't see who comes in, because this is like a very, very, very high-tech platform. I love the way it operates. And that's why we're using it. I'm just sort of trying it out. But the only thing about it, you can't see who is in or when they come in. So if you are in, just give me a little wave or say hi, say good evening, so I know you're here. I can see Wayne is here. So thank you, Wayne, for joining. It looks like you may be the first. Anybody else is in, just let me know that you're there. I'm just trying to find a way I can see who is here to make sure I'm not speaking to myself. I know we had over 100 people request the link to join. So I'm just kind of getting a picture of who's in. Someone's requested to join as well. I was hitting the wrong link. Okay. So let's make sure that it's working properly. Make me know that the link is working. I'm just going to quickly check the comments. Okay, Maxwell, yeah, it's working. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Maxwell. I'm just clicking the link because a couple of people said they were getting the wrong link and they're not sure if the link was working. So as long as I can see that one or two people are in, I'm going to try it on my phone as well just to make sure that it's working fine. these new technologies, they're quite efficient when they work well. Let me see if this one goes in. Then I know we are in the right place at the right time with the right people. Thank you so much, Maxwell. God bless you. Oh, Devon, yeah, we're in the right place. Yeah, I'm seeing my people are logging in, so I know we're definitely online and things are working fine. Okay, God bless you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to the Effective Man Ask Juice Doctor Q&A. This is our first Q&A for men. We're really targeting men's health and really trying to make sure we cover as many of the topics that are quite pressing to men as possible. Now, I did try to copy over the questions to make sure they show up on the screen, but it looks like it hasn't been a question I've got from another device. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. I'm Devon Victor. I would like to know more about my diabetes. Okay, you know what? I'm going to try and see if I can show the question. You know what? How it's going to work. This is going to work really well. If you have a question, type it in the chat, and we have a little bit of magic that allows us to do something like this. There you go. Your question will show up on the screen. I'm Devon Victor. I would like to know more about my diabetes. So that's how we can show the question, so people know what question we're answering at any given time. So if you have a question, type it in the chat. Any question at all related to anything to do with your health, anything you'd like to know. We've had some people asking about GERD. We've had some people asking about heart health. We've had some people asking about cholesterol. We've had some people asking about prostate. So I would like to know your burning question that you have regarding your health, because there's some serious statistics regarding men's health at the moment, and we really need to change the dynamic. We need to change the status quo. At the moment, men, in particular black men, they're 400% more likely to have a heart attack, and more importantly, to die from a heart attack. They're 330% more likely to have an amputation due to their diabetes not being controlled when the blood sugar is remaining high for a elongated period of time. So if you have diabetes and you're suffering and you're not able to control your blood sugar using the metformin or whatever medication they're provided or prescribed, you are 330% more likely to lead to amputation. You'll have a very high risk of dying of prostate cancer, much more higher than our European or other community counterparts. So there's so many statistics stacked against us that we really need to make sure that we are being proactive and being as knowledgeable and informed as we can be regarding our health and what we can do to actually manage it and bring it to a higher level. Now, I always have a great saying that your health can never exceed your knowledge of health. Infused to called during that VIP. Thank you. I'm very grateful. Could you take up the time, because it was quite short notice. We did originally plan to do this a few months back, but we got distracted with so much work and so many clients coming in. For those who are not sure about who I am, I'm going to quickly play a video introduction to give you some insight as to who you are dealing with and what we are about to share.
Welcome to an evening of profound insight into men's health. We are delighted to introduce our distinguished speaker for this special event, the eminent Aaron Warden, also known as the Juice Doctor. The Juice Doctor, a clinical nutritionist, detox specialist, and integrated wellness practitioner, is a beacon of health and wellness. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom, as the Juice Doctor takes us on a transformative journey towards optimal health. Not only is the Juice Doctor a gifted speaker, but he's also the visionary force behind multiple revolutionary brands. Through Ask Juice Doctor, he fuses cutting-edge biotechnology with natural cleansing and juice nutrition to achieve optimal health and natural healing from within. And now, introducing Effective Man by Ask Juice Doctor, a health club for men, where he will embark on a journey to guide and coach men to their ultimate well-being. But that's not all. The Juice Doctor is also the driving force behind MI Healthcare, a multifaceted health practice offering cutting-edge solutions, personalized nutritional therapy, and naturopathy using the functional medicine approach. And last but not least, Vivo Nutrients, where the Juice Doctor promotes freedom through well-being, equipping people with the knowledge, tools, and lifestyle changes required to take charge of their health. On the 9th of November, we invite you to be part of a transformative experience with the Juice Doctor, a true authority in men's health. Gentlemen, get ready for an evening of enlightenment and empowerment with Aaron Warden, the Juice Doctor. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
There we go. So, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just give me a 1 in the chat just to make sure you can hear me loud and clear, because the internet is not being our best friend today. But anyway, we're gonna go on as we do. Okay, great. You can see me, but you can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, just give me a 1 in the chat or give me some kind of signal so I know you can hear me. Right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me go to the chat. Okay, fantastic. Right, so men have a much greater risk of contracting heart disease and heart attacks than women. It's a known fact that the lifestyles that men lead are a lot more stressful than women. Women tend to manage their stress a little bit better than men, simply the fact that they have the option to speak and discuss with their friends and colleagues, whereas men will tend to keep things in and they'll suffer in silence. So a lot of things may be going on, but they're not sharing what's going on. And when you keep things in, of course, it's going to have a detrimental effect on your internal organs, including your heart. As I say, don't take things to heart. When you take things to heart, it's actually going to affect your physical heart as well as your emotional heart. So it's very, very important that we really get to recognize the importance of how we manage our stress, how we manage the levels of things that we allow into our hearts, into our minds, and the things that we continue to keep in our thoughts. So That's the first question. Men are a much more greater risk than women. The second question people are asking, because I can't get to scroll because the screen is a little bit temperamental today. Second question asking, what are some of the risk factors for developing heart disease, particularly for men? Some of the key risk factors for heart disease for men are being a smoker. If you're a smoker, you have a much greater chance of developing heart disease. If you are obese, if you have obesity, if you have high blood pressure, it's going to put you in a much more greater risk of leading to heart disease or even a heart attack if your blood pressure is not controlled. If you have a very high fat diet, these are some of the key factors and risk factors that will put you in danger of developing heart disease or leading to a heart attack if these situations aren't brought under control. Now, as I said, a lot of men like to suffer in silence, and it's really important that we get men to start engaging more and start discussing some of the things that they're experiencing, because once you get it out, there is so much help available. There is so much help available. There's so much information available and accessible. But if you don't know, then you just don't know. And if you don't speak about it, if you don't say what's going on, it makes it so much harder for that help to get to you. Now, in the process of me sending out the information about today's call, I managed to get a few calls and a few questions in and some insight from some of the men that were preparing to come tonight. And I was actually quite devastated at the levels of support, or should I say the lack of support available to men. I remember I was speaking to Victor or Devon last night, and he was telling me about how he was trying to get an appointment for his aches and pains or his pins and needles in his feet, something that I'll address tonight as well. He's been having some pins and needles in his feet for quite some time, and he's also having a lot of pain, like a burning sensation in his feet. And he's also trying to get an appointment to get that looked at by the GP, and they've told him that he's not going to be able to be seen for at least 3 months. I was like, what? You can't get an appointment to see a GP for 3 months? What level of service are we being exposed to? So he then went on to say that he had a hospital appointment, and after the hospital appointment, they discharged him with, I think, amitriptyline medication, just like the medication for pain, which is not even it's not even a medication for neuropathy, but I guess it's a broad spectrum medication that they use for all types of situations. And they said the next time he was able to come back wouldn't be any sooner than 6 weeks. 6 weeks until his next appointment, and 3 months for a GP appointment. So much things could happen in that period of time. And if you haven't got any help or haven't got any assistance, then this could lead to quite a detrimental development of those same situations. Because if that same situation with his feet are not controlled and the blood sugar continues to stay high, then that could lead to some serious implications, including amputation. And that's when he sort of the penny dropped, that this is why so many of our brothers are dropping dead, unsupported or without anybody helping them, and sometimes alone, because people are assuming that they've got access to the relevant help, but they simply don't. So speaking to Devon, speaking to Paul, speaking to Wayne last night, and the problems that they were experiencing really led me to believe and understand that the need for these type of forums is greater now than ever before, especially when you have the National Health Service really struggling to meet the needs of the population. So before I get into the next question, I'm quickly going to deal with that same point, because Devon actually asked a question about how he could manage his diabetes. Thank you so much for those who gave him the one in the chat. Let's recognize them now. Devon was actually asking about how he could manage his diabetes. Now, one of the key things that you mentioned, and I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this with regards to having high blood sugar for a long time, but one of the things he mentioned was that he's having these pins and needles and these sensations in his legs and in his feet. And, this is something that we see on a regular basis. We see people having problems with their legs. We see people having problems with their feet. I'm going to quickly explain to you. If you've got a notepad and pen, this will be a time for you to grab it and take some notes, because I'm going to share some stuff that you can actually use to impact positively your condition if this is you. Now, the reason why you're having pins and needles in your feet, there's a couple of reasons. If you're diabetic, of course, which you are, if you're diabetic, this could be a case of diabetic neuropathy. Now, diabetic neuropathy happens when your blood sugar remains so high, you start to lose sensation in your extremities, i.e. your toes, and maybe even your fingers. It can also affect your fingers. This is when the signals from the brain are now interfered with because of the lack of available signals and available resources to carry that signal to the relevant organ. Why does this happen? One of the key reasons that this happens is when you have a high level of carbohydrates, especially those who are diabetic. Now take note now, diabetes is not caused by sugar. Although it's a blood sugar condition, it's not actually caused by sugar. It's actually caused by the carbs. It's actually caused by your pasta. It's caused by your rice. It's caused by your potatoes. Because these foods, in order for them to be used as energy, they need to be converted into sugar, into glucose, which is what the body will use to burn to provide you with energy. When you have high levels of these type of foods in your diet, you're going to put a huge strain on your pancreas to produce the relevant amounts or the required amounts of insulin to break down that sugar and get it into the blood, in the blood cells where it's actually required. Now, one of the main contributors to that process of making that sugar available and making that food be able to be broken down and accessible to the blood is your level of vitamins. What do I mean by level of vitamins? Vitamins. Every single part of your diet is meant to contain the relevant nutrients that your food requires in order for it to be broken down and then absorbed into the system. When it comes to carbohydrates, if you don't have the right amount of B vitamins are going to have a significant effect, or the lack of B vitamins can have a significant effect on your ability to control your blood sugar. 9 times out of 10, when we see a client who has blood sugar and had their blood sugar high for a long time, there are certain things that we always see on a regular day-to-day basis. And one of the key things that we see when we look at their profile, when we do their body scan, and the scan will show them what's happening with all their organs, all their vitamins, all their minerals, all their nutrients. The one thing we see more than any is that they are low in a particular vitamin called B1. B1 called thiamine. When you're low in thiamine, what's the purpose of thiamine? When you're low in thiamine, your carbohydrates that you've eaten, your potatoes, your rice, your yams, your pasta that you've eaten, your bread, they rely on thiamine for them to be broken down into the macromolecules in order for them to be absorbed. But when you lack thiamine, B1, the carbohydrates and the food that is not broken down will then start to accumulate in your feet. Because of gravity, it goes to the lowest part of the body and it will start to accumulate in your feet. When this bread, rice, pasta, undigested carbs starts to accumulate in your feet, it then starts to stifle the flow of oxygen to those tissues. When you start to have a lack of oxygen available because of the blood is now becoming hypoxic, which means lack of oxygen, when you start to have a reduction in oxygen supply to the tissues in those extremities, you start to experience what they call necrosis or tissue death, which means the tissues start to die out because they haven't got enough oxygen. It's like if someone puts a bag over your head, then obviously you can't breathe. So eventually you will pass out and die. So that's the same thing that's happening with those tissues in the feet and in the legs. The tissues start to die off and the skin will then start to go dark. When the skin starts to go dark, it's because you're losing pigmentation because you haven't got the relevant levels of oxygen and the cells haven't got the tools they need to breathe and regenerate themselves. When that process continues and remains unabated for a continued period of time, eventually that leg or that foot is now going to become separated from the rest of the body or separated from the rest of the flow of nutrients from the body. And when that situation remains that way, then you have a thing called gangrene. And when gangrene starts setting, that means when you have like a level of poison because the toxins that are building up because of the lack of oxygen are now going to turn the leg into a septic state or a poisonous state. And when it becomes like that, in order for it to be prevented from spreading, that poison spreading into the body and affecting other areas, the only option available to you is amputation. I had a client come the other day. He had already had his foot amputated. I actually didn't want to see him, but somebody gave him the details and he turned up unannounced. And I said, you know what, you would have somebody there at the sign, but I said, if you can wait, then we'll definitely see. He had to wait about 4 hours, but he was really desperate to be seen. So because he'd already said he had his foot amputated, I already knew that he's going to be low in B vitamins and probably low in lots of other vitamins as well. But let's just deal with the B vitamins just for now. He came in, he sat down, we did his scan. I did his scan, I looked at his vitamins, I looked at his minerals, I looked at his liver, I looked at his digestive system. All of those areas were in the red because these are all the areas that are responsible for managing your that your foods and the transition of those foods from the esophagus through to the anus, to make sure that all parts of that process are effectively and efficiently supported by the relevant organs and nutrients. When I saw his vitamin profile, his B vitamins were all in the red, including vitamin B1. Because he'd already gone past that stage of not having B1 for probably about a year, maybe to 2 years, his leg had gone through that stage of sepsis and gone through that stage of gangrene, and had his toes actually had been amputated. It wasn't his foot, his toes were amputated, so he came in on crutches. When I saw him in that state, I said, this is too far gone. I knew there's not much I could do for him, because his body was been so depleted for so long, there wasn't much time left for him to live. So I thought, there's no point in me even trying, as bad as it sounds, to try and give this guy a level of false hope. It was too late. It was already too late. Now, that could have been prevented had he had the knowledge that all he needed to do was to increase his B vitamins. But they had gone too far for too long, so therefore there wasn't much point in me trying to prescribe something that wasn't going to have the long-term effect. I did say to him, increase your B vitamins in the interim, and get some more minerals, get some zinc, and just to increase your vitamin, just to help with his digestive system, to help get some enzymes. Anyway, he did that, and we discharged him. About 4 months later, the person that recommended him told me that he had passed away. Now, I had a feeling that was going to happen, but I'm not God. I'm not the one to pass judgment or to say who's going to live and who's not going to live. But he passed on, I think, about 8 weeks after he had that appointment. This was why he was probably so desperate. Probably he had some insight or some foresight that this was on the way. And there's so many people that are having that same demise only because of the lack of knowledge. The Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge, because they don't know. And what you don't know, you just don't know. If you don't know, you don't know what to do. So I'm explaining to you today the importance of understanding that your diabetes, one of the key factors that contributes to your diabetic state, is if you have a lack of B vitamins, in particular B1. So if you are diabetic, and you, Devin, you mentioned this earlier, if you are diabetic, the first thing I want you to do is write down, I need to get myself a high dose, we call a therapeutic dose, of vitamin B1 or B100. Someone call it B1 or someone call it thiamine. Get at least a 500 or 600 milligram dose of B1. In fact, try and get the whole B complex. Try and get the whole B complex. But B complex consists of about all of the 9 different B vitamins from the whole B vitamin family. But definitely make sure you get some B1. And in fact, if you can get the B1 separately in like a high dose, like about 500 milligrams and above, start taking it on a regular basis. Then also get yourself a B complex. The B complex is going to contain B3, niacin. It's also going to contain B6. These are B vitamins that considerably help the neurological function. They help the brain function, and they help you to repair your nerves. They also help you to produce healthy nerve cells, and also help you to produce healthy brain cells, and also help you to produce healthy blood vessels. So the better your blood, or the better the level of B vitamin availability, is the better your condition of your blood's going to be, the better your condition of your brain's going to be, the better your condition of your nervous system is going to be. So having a whole family of B vitamins is always going to be very advantageous when you are struggling to manage your blood sugar. Now, in addition to the B vitamins help for your blood sugar and the necrosis and the tissue and your leg getting dark, it will also help you with your neuropathy, which you mentioned earlier about the nerve endings and the nerve cells trying to send the signals to the extremities of your body. If you're having that pain or pins and needles in your feet, one of the first signs of your B vitamin deficiency is that you may start getting tingling and pins and needles in your feet or in your ankles. These are all signs of a lack of B vitamin, in particular B1. So if you're having that sensation on a regular basis, make sure you get hold of some B1, some thiamine, to start to increase that in as part of your diet. So that's the first question that I'm going to cover today, looking at the diabetes and how we can improve your diabetes. I hope that answered your question, Devon. I hope that answered your question, Devon. Can you hear me still? If you answer a question, just let me know via the chat. Now, I'm going to go to the chat again to get another question. I'm going to quickly show Devon's question. Okay, I'm Devon, would like to know more about my diabetes. Yes, so that's a little bit about diabetes. Another thing about diabetes real quick, Devon, is your liver. the main organs that are incorporated in people having a diabetic state is when they have a toxic liver or a very fatty liver. If your liver is very fatty, it's going to slow down your body's ability to digest your food. But I'm going to kind of come back to this. I'm going to spend the whole evening on diabetes, but having a fatty liver, having a poor digestive system, having a sluggish colon, if your bowel's not moving regularly, that means food that is coming in is not being broken down properly and it's not also being eliminated. So that's going to have a contribute to a buildup of toxins. So let's move on to the next question. And if you do have any additional questions, please feel free to type them in the chat so I can get through as many of them as I can this evening. Okay, you keep cutting out. Thank you for that, Euclid. I'm going to quickly go through the chat and drop it out. Am I okay now? Not picking up. Maxwell, no sound. The sound is good now. Thanks for all those that put the ones in the chat. Okay, anybody else got any questions, please put them in the chat. So let's go for the rest of the questions that I had from this evening. Now, let me see. Okay, someone's asking about gastric reflux. Despite a good level of regular hydration, etc., what and how can I get over this? How can I get over GERD and gastric reflux? Okay. Can anybody hear me? Actually, I need some interaction now again. Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, give me a 3 in the chat. If you can see my video is still on. Give me a 3 in the chat, please. Give me a 3 in the chat if you can see my video and you can hear me. Give me a 3 in the chat, just so I can see and know that everything is going a-okay. Am I still there? Okay, thank you so much, Devin. You can see me and you can hear me. Give me a 4 if you can see me and you can hear me. Give me a 4 in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me, because I'm getting some mixed views here. A 3 if you can see me and a 4 if you can hear me and see me. Just give me a 4 in the chat if you can. Thank you very much. You did 3 and 4, 3, 3. The 3 and give me a 4. Thank you so much. You can see and hear me. Fantastic. Okay, where was I? Okay, so good. Acid reflux. A lot of people are struggling with acid reflux. A lot of people are actually struggling with gut problems, period. A lot of people are struggling with digestive issues. One of the key reasons why people struggle with acid reflux, and this might sound a little bit controversial, it's not going to be what you expect me to say, but the reason why a lot of people have acid reflux is not because you have too much acid, but it's because you don't have enough. 90% of the people that we see, at least 90% of the people that we see on a daily basis are struggling with acid-based problems or digestive-based issues. And one of the things that we always notice when we do the scan and we actually look at the digestive system is that their stomach acids are very, very low or sometimes non-existent. What does stomach acid have to do with acid reflux? Okay, when you look at the digestive system, the purpose of the digestive system is to digest your food. How does it digest your food? By first breaking it down. How does it break it down? This is when it has to use the acid. You know, they talk about the acid test. When you put something to the acid test, you put it in the acid then starts to separate the compounds from the impurities, and then you get your actual pure product. That's what acid is responsible for. So the body is made up of lots of acids, amino acids, etc., and various compounds, and their job is to break down the food into the macromolecules, into the micromolecules, into different nutrients, so that your body can absorb them and they can be taken into the cell and then distributed to the tissues in order to continue regenerating your body. Now, the first part of that process happens in the gut. When the food gets into the gut, the first thing it's looking for is a high level of acid. Let's just imagine a chip pan. Let's say you got a chip pan with a very big vat of oil in the pan. When you put that oil in the pan, you want to heat that oil up. When you heat the oil up, as soon as you put the chips in, the chips will then start to go through that process of cooking, of heating and changing color and being broken down and just they're taken through that metamorphosis, that transformation process, going from a raw hard potato into an edible chip. One of the key things that's required for that to happen is the oil to be hot and sustain continuously hot at a high temperature. Now, imagine you have that same big pot of oil, and the oil is completely cold. When you put those chips into that pan, what are those chips going to do? They're going to sink to the bottom, number one, or they're going to just float right back to the top. If they float back to the top, that means they're just sitting there because their weight is heavier or is lighter than the actual liquid and the oil that they're sitting in, so it'll just float on the top. That's what happens when you have food. It goes in and there's not enough acid in the stomach. That food will then come back up looking for any other place for acid, because the acid is actually starts from here all the way down in your esophagus, all the way down. You have that digestive pipe called the esophagus. So if it can't get the acid in the stomach, it's going to come back up to the higher parts of the digestive system, looking for a place where it can start that digestive process. So when you start to have acid reflux, it's not because you don't have it. It's not because you have too much acid, but because you don't have enough. How do you remedy that? The first thing you want to look at is increasing your levels of stomach acid, where you get hydrochloric acid. So you want to start looking for a product called digestive HCl or hydrochloric acid. Make a note of this. Get yourself hydrochloric acid or HCl. Type on the internet, do it on Google, search for some hydrochloric acid to increase your stomach acid. You need to increase your stomach acid if you're having problems with acid reflux. I know it sounds crazy. How could I have acid reflux because I'm having too much acid? That's your interpretation. That's your misinterpretation based on your logic, which is, I should get less acid if I'm trying to get rid of too much acid. But acid reflux is as a result of you not having enough acid in your stomach. That's number one. Number two, you want to try and get yourself some digestive enzymes. I'll come with that in a second. You want to get yourself some digestive enzymes. Enzymes are so critical to the digestive process, because without enzymes, a lot of those digestive processes cannot take place. If you haven't got enough enzymes to break down your sugar, you're going to need your sucrose. If you haven't got enough amylase, if you haven't got enough pappase, if you haven't got enough lipase, these are all enzymes that are responsible for breaking down different elements of your food. Some are going to break down your fats, some are going to break down your proteins, some are going to break down your sugars, but they all have a role to play in that digestive process. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly go to the chat and answer some of the questions. I'm going to go and quickly find the chat. While I'm doing that, before I do that, should I say, I'm going to give you a quick interlude for those who've just joined us.
Gentlemen, welcome to an evening of profound insight into men's health. We are delighted to introduce our distinguished speaker for this special event, the eminent Aaron Warden, also known as the Juice Doctor. The Juice Doctor, a clinical nutritionist, detox specialist, and integrated wellness practitioner, is a beacon of health and wellness. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom, as the Juice Doctor takes us on a transformative journey towards optimal health. Not only is the Juice Doctor a gifted speaker, but he's also the visionary force behind multiple revolutionary brands. Through Ask Juice Doctor, he fuses cutting-edge biotechnology with natural cleansing and juice nutrition to achieve optimal health and natural healing from within. And now, introducing Effective Man by Ask Juice Doctor, a health club for men, where he will embark on a journey to guide and coach men to their ultimate well-being. But that's not all. The Juice Doctor is also the driving force behind MI Healthcare, a multifaceted health practice offering cutting-edge solutions, personalized nutritional therapy, and naturopathy using the functional medicine approach. And last but not least, Vivo Nutrients, where the Juice Doctor promotes freedom through well-being, equipping people with the knowledge, tools, and lifestyle changes required to take charge of their health. On the 9th of November, we invite you to be part of a transformative experience with the Juice Doctor, a true authority in men's health. Gentlemen, get ready for an evening of enlightenment and empowerment with Aaron Warden, the Juice Doctor. Join us on Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023 at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a quick interlude for those that have just joined us. Just to let you know where you are and for giving me a chance to just reconfigure and get into the chat to see some of the questions which I'm going to put up on the screen now as I answer. So the first one's coming from Wayne. The question is, how and where can we get a simple blood test for blood sugar and other vitals? That's a very good question, Wayne. You can actually go to your GP, but I don't hold that much hope for them giving you the type of test that you're looking for in the time frame that you may also be looking for it, especially given what I was told last night by Devon and a couple other people that they've given a minimum of 3 months wait for a blood test from their GP. We do a very comprehensive test for different aspects of your health. It's called a body MOT health scan or bioscan, where the conversation is had with your body through your hand. We use a very advanced technology that scans your body through your hand, and your body speaks through the software, and it provides a very, very detailed report that highlights the level of stress on all of your organs. So things like your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, your brain, your bowels, your blood, your bones, your prostate. Every organ in your body is reported on, and your body also makes recommendations on what it needs to bring it back into balance. Once you've got that information, we can then work with you to put together a bespoke detox or lifestyle change program to bring your body back into order and address the areas that are in a state of imbalance. One of the things that we really enjoy and what we really find that we get a lot of benefit from, and the client gets a lot of benefit from, is we get to look and see your vitamin and mineral profile. Now, the vitamin and mineral profile is something that is very hard to tell because most people don't know that they are deficient in any particular vitamin or any particular mineral. And most blood tests don't actually show your vitamin profile. No, tell a lie. They do. They only show a few. They might show your B12. You may have to request a specific test to have your D3 tested, but they don't show the whole profile, which is not going to turn up or flag up any deficiencies in time for you to take action and bring things back into order. Our test looks at every single vitamin profile. We look at your B1, we look at your B2, look at your B3, we look at your B6, we look at your folate, we look at your folic acid, we look at your amino acid, we look at your threonine, your tryptophan, serotonin. Every single part of that vitamin profile and mineral profile is examined, and it's tested, and it shows very, very clearly. So yes, you can get a blood test, but it's going to give you the information that you need, and it's going to give you the depth of information you need. Most of the people that come to us, most of the clients that refer to us, they come to us after they've been through the whole hospital system. They've done the MRI scan. They've done umpteen blood tests. They've done CT scans. They've been to the specialist. The specialists have not been able to give them the answer. They've not been able to dissect or get to the root of their underlying problem. And that's when they hear about us, or they'll come to us, and we'll put them through the scan. And within probably 10, 15 minutes, we've identified all the key areas where they're in a state of disorder. And it's very easy for us to put things back into place to get things back into balance. So yes, you definitely would need to do a blood test, but we would recommend you do one of our body MOT health scans because it's very conclusive and it's very comprehensive and gives you the information that you need. Okay, next question came from Euclid. Let me show Euclid's question. Is it showing? Okay, it should come through. Okay, what is HCl? HCl is hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is a very, very important acid. If you type up on Google, just type HCl or HCI, and you will see it come up, or HCI for stomach. You'll see it come up with lots of suppliers that do hydrochloric acid for your stomach because it helps with any kind of stomach deficiencies or stomach problems or stomach issues, or especially digestive issues. Many people aren't aware that your stomach acid is more important than actually your digestive system itself, because without the acid, the stomach's not going to work. So HCl is hydrochloric acid. I hope that answers your question, Euclid. Let's get another question. How can I get these pills? Okay. Right, this one comes from Devon. How can I get these B1 pills ASAP and B complex pills? Right, very good question, Devon. We recommend you getting your... We don't recommend you getting them from Holland & Barrett because Holland & Barrett, they're a supermarket. I have nothing against them as a business, but if you want to get high quality products, you need to be going to a Whole Food store or a vitamin or mineral specialist. Holland & Barrett, they buy things based on, let's say they buy it based on price. They're not always going to have the highest quality because they do a lot of things for a penny in their penny sale. So they'll probably more looking for something that's more competitively priced, so they can be competitively passed on to the consumer. If you want high quality vitamins and minerals and supplements, you want to go to a supplement specialist. We actually do a liquid B vitamin because they're very hard to find. They're very rare because we find a lot of people are struggling with absorbing the nutrients because of the lack of stomach acid, because of the lack of other important nutrients that are required for that digestive process. So a lot of people struggle to actually get the full benefit from tablets or capsules. So we tend to do a lot of our products in liquid form. When it's in liquid form, A, it's more bioavailable. B, it's more easily absorbed. C, it doesn't have to go through the stomach. It goes direct into the bloodstream, so you get it into where it's needed a lot quicker. So we have a very high quality B complex, liquid B complex, that has all of the B vitamin family in very high doses and high quantities, and it's a very good strength. But it's very, very easily taken, and it's got a nice sweet taste to it as well. It's very, very easily taken with water or juice. You just take a teaspoon, add it to your water, and you definitely feel the effects of that very quickly, because it gets into the bloodstream quite quickly. I'll give you the website at the end or as we're going through, so you can have access to all of those supplements. Let's get another one. Where can I get this from? We've seen that one. Let's get another question. So if you've got another question, please type them in the chat. What is the cost? Okay, let's get this. A very good question. What is the cost for a full body MOT? And what is the cost for a full body MOT? A full body MOT at the moment, we have a special offer on at the moment. It's normally £350. We're doing it for £250. £250. For the £250, you get all the scans. We actually do quite a few, as well as the stuff we mentioned, the heart, lungs, liver, etc. We also do a food scan. We don't normally do that as part of it. We've added that in now as part of the package, where we actually, as well as us checking for your vitamins, your minerals, your organs, we also do an extensive assessment of your foods to find out what foods you may be ingesting that are clogging up your system or containing certain chemicals or poisons that are finding their way into your system and interfering with your endocrine system, or interfering with your hormones, interfering with your prostate. All these sort of things, they get into the body through your food. And if you don't know what food you're ingesting that are causing the problem, you may be on one hand doing all the right things to relieve the stress on your body, but on the other hand, you may also be ingesting a food that is contributing to that problem in the first place. But by you not knowing what particular food or particular food group it is, it makes it much harder for you to actually really get to the root of the issue and make any significant headway going forward. So we do a very detailed food scan, and that really helps you. It helps a lot of people actually to really be able to make informed decisions and informed choices as to what they're going to include in their diet, and more importantly, what they're going to take out. In addition to that, we also can do an emotional scan. We look at your emotions. A lot of people don't realize how much emotions has an impact on their health and their well-being. Oftentimes, your emotions are actually governing the reasons why you eat. So if you're an emotional eater and something gets you down, you think you need to cheer yourself up, you're going to go out and go for the chocolates, we're going to go for the sweets, we're going to go for the cakes. You're going to go for the foods that are not necessarily good for you, but they're going to make you feel good for a short period of time, just to satisfy that particular emotion. So we can also do a scan of your emotions, because there may be certain emotions that are posing as blockages and also having a detrimental effect on your health. Now, I did a test the other day. I went to go and do a test just to make sure that we are always ahead of the curve. I'll get to the next question in a second. I went to do a test at one of the private hospitals. I think it was Spires Hospital. I did a test at Spires Hospital. They're a private hospital, and I wanted to see what is available on the market and to compare it to what we are offering on a regular basis. So I went to Spires, and they had a test which was £355, which was their, I think their largest or their biggest test. I said, I'm going to do this test just to see what it shows up or what it throws up. The test incorporated my cardiovascular system. It incorporated my B12. It looked at my heart. It looked at the liver enzymes. I think I mentioned D3 already, and just a few other markers. In fact, it came to a total of 55 markers, 55 biomarkers they looked at for that £350 test, which was their most comprehensive blood test that looked at the most areas available. When I looked at that 55 biomarkers, I was like, wow, no wonder people don't get any real results when they do these blood tests. Because if your problem is not contained within those 55 biomarkers, you just wasted £355. But I did it, and I came back and I said, wow, our standard scan, our standard test, it already tests you for 197 biomarkers, 197. We have 197 biomarkers compared to their 55. Just to give you a few of the additional biomarkers we look at, that the most comprehensive blood test doesn't look at. And to do that, they had to take 5 different vials of blood from me in order for them to complete that test. 5 different vials. probably one for the B12, one for the D3, one for the cardiovascular system, one for the heart, one for the liver. They had to take so much blood only to get 55 biomarkers tested. In 197, we look at your parasites, we look at your heavy metals, we look at your bacteria, we look at your viruses, we look at your fungus, we look at your emotions, as we said, we look at your chemicals, we look at your pesticides. The test is so deep that it's very hard for us not to find or pinpoint what element or chemical or molecule or poison is contributing or having a significant effect on your problem once we've conducted that test with such an extensive array of biomarkers to look at. I had a client come the other day. She was an NHS nurse. She works in the eye clinic in the theatre. Funny, she's an eye specialist. And she had a problem with her eye. She had a problem called uveitis, a condition called uveitis or uveitis, which is like an inflammation in the eyes. She was struggling with this problem for about 8 months, and she was working with the specialist. She was working with the pathologist. She was working with all the surgeons, and they were telling her, "Oh, look, you probably got a problem with your immune system," and they were telling her, "There's no hope. You probably have to take the steroids for the rest of your life. Just resign yourself to that factor." And she was believing that she's either going to lose her sight, or she thought she was going to come to the end of the line for her. She was only 45 or 54, something like that. And she remembered that she came to us during COVID, and we really helped her out. So she came back, she booked an appointment, she came in, and she was making plans with her son, saying, son, make sure you look after the house. She was really making plans for her to go. So we did a scan, we looked through all the biomarkers, and we checked everything, and all the numbers were quite low. I said, you look like you've been really looking after yourself. She goes, yes, I've tried to change my diet. I'm incorporating lots of water, I'm having lots of smoothies, lots of juices, lots of fresh food, lots of whole food, but nothing was able to address the actual problem that was causing the inflammation in her eyes. Her eyes were really puffed up and swollen. So having gone through all of these tests, I'm thinking, this one's a little bit tricky. I need to go really deep into our library, into our archives of different tests we can do. So I said, you know what, let me test your parasites. So I did a test for the parasites. So I checked her parasites, and lo and behold, the parasites came up at about 500. All the other numbers were like double digits, 15, 20, 18s, 12s. Nothing was really anything that was spectacular that jumped out. But when we did the parasites, it came up as 500. So the top parasite that came up, I said, I need to look at this parasite, but this parasite is definitely having an impact on your situation because it's the highest biomarker that has come up out of all the tests. When I looked at that parasite, we looked it up together, and all of the symptoms that she was experiencing were caused by that parasite. It causes problems with the eyes, it causes problems with the pupils, it causes inflammation, it causes anything inflammation is itis. Anything to do with itis means inflammation. She had a thing called uveitis, which is inflammation of the eye. So this parasite causes her inflammation. So not only did we find out what was actually causing the problem, we actually able to pinpoint the particular organism or pathogen or microbe that was actually contributing to that the diagnosis that she'd had. Being armed with that information, we were able to put her on a parasite cleanse, along with a detox and blood cleanse and lifestyle change, changing her diet, because there's foods that she's eating that are more before in the chat. Okay, I'm back. Right, so there were certain foods that she's eating that are very, 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 very familiar with parasites, and parasites love to attach themselves to these type of foods. So you find certain foods and certain juices that she was having, like she was eating a lot of sushi, having a lot of raw fish. When you have a lot of sushi and raw fish, they are prone to parasite infestations. When you eat a lot of raw fish, that's going to bring those parasites and those microorganisms into your gut, into your system, and they'll start to multiply and get into your bloodstream, and they can travel to your brain, they can travel to your heart, they can travel to your lungs, to your liver, and they can embed themselves wherever they have a particular penchant for. So anyway, she was eating the foods that were bringing the parasites in. We were able to help her to remove those foods from her diet, and we did have to do a cleanse and detoxify her system, make the relevant lifestyle changes, and within 4 weeks, she was completely back in balance. But the greatest thing about it, we had a spray. We gave her a spray that she used to spray on her eyes. I'll let you see the testimonial. I'll share it with you. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see it on there. When she gave her testimonial, she went back to the clinic that she works at, and they did a test on her eyes. And she said within 4 days, her uveitis was cleared up. And when she went back to the clinic, they tested her and they said the uveitis in the front of the eye had gone, and the uveitis in the back of the eye was also gone. So it was completely cleared up. All she had left was just some puffy eyes because of the hay fever, because it was in the summer season. She had some hay fever symptoms that were still lingering that she wasn't able to shake off, but she was dealing with that as well as part of the program. But the main problem that she came for, which was this uveitis, was resolved within 4 days. The reason why that was able to be achieved was because the extensive nature of the scan that we do is able to pick up problems that most blood tests and most other conventional tests will miss. And this is the reason why we get so much success, because we're able to really go in depth into all the different parameters of the body to really be able to find out and see where there are any imbalances, or where there are any disorders, or where there are any deficiencies, and we start to correct those imbalances, correct those disorders, correct those deficiencies, and the body starts to heal itself. We take no credit whatsoever for what the body is able to do. All our job is to do is to identify the areas of imbalance and then create that environment internally that is conducive to accelerated wellness. And once that is achieved, the body takes over and does what it's designed to do. So thank you very much for asking that question, Maxwell. If you want to do a full body MOT, you can always book in, give us a call, send us a text, and we will look for some available dates for you. Okay, next question. Right, this is a very good one. Oh, fantastic. How do I lower my blood pressure? It's 168/90. Now that's high. Who's that coming from? That's coming from Dudley. Dudley. Oh my goodness. Dudley, I wish I can get you to open up and speak. Let's talk about blood pressure. Blood pressure has many different factors that contribute to high blood pressure. One of them is the state of your stress. That's number one. If you have a high stress diet or high stress lifestyle, if you have a high level of stress in your lifestyle, this is going to contribute to your blood pressure spiraling out of control. Because as I said earlier, when you take these things into your heart, they're going to put pressure on the heart, and that's going to cause the heart to have to work harder to beat and pump blood around the body, which is going to contribute to you having high blood pressure. If you remain in that high stress state, you're going to also trigger high levels of cortisol, because your adrenal glands, your adrenaline, which is like responsible for your fight or flight, where you're in a situation where you say you're coming home from work and you've had a long day at work and you're walking through a dark alley and you're accosted by somebody who's threatening you to attack you. Even if you're tired, your adrenaline will lift you up and give you extra blood to your legs and to your arms. So your arms, so you either for you to fight, or your legs for you to run. That's why they call it fight or flight. So your blood will be sucked away from your stomach and pushed into your arms and into your legs. So you can have a fight with your arms or run with your legs. When that situation, that say you've run, you've taken off and you've run and you've got into a place of safety, you're back home, you're relaxed now. Once the threat that was presented to you at the time when your adrenals rushed up and gave you that additional blood, once that threat has gone, your adrenals are meant to go back down. And that blood that's been rushed away from the stomach has gone to the organs, the legs and the arms. It should come back into the stomach, back to the heart and back to the vital organs and keep you in that balanced state of homeostasis. However, oftentimes, even when the threat has gone, people remain in that heightened state of alertness or heightened state of awareness. Sometimes this could be as a result of if you're a person that's very fearful. If you're a person that watches the news, if you watch the news a lot, the news is always going to be constantly feeding you with that negative energy, negative information. It's going to be triggering that fear response. It's going to be triggering that fear hormone. And once those fear hormones start to kick in, they're going to constantly be tagging on the adrenaline to keep you feeling a sense of safety. You're always trying to reconfigure yourself to make yourself feel safe, even when there's no threat. So these things are these are just some of the external factors that will contribute to you having or maintaining high blood pressure, even when you think you're doing nothing and nothing should be actually making your blood pressure rise. But just having your external environment feeding into your stress, and your stress receptors, they will start to pick up on those subtle external factors, and that will contribute to you having high blood pressure. Another thing that contributes to having high blood pressure is if you have a high-fat diet. If you have a high-fat diet that's rich in our, the Caribbean, African, West African type foods, which is very oily sometimes. It's a lot of fried food, a lot of food that's, saturated in saturated fat. If you have a diet that's rich in chicken, beef, meat, food that's fried, you're going to have a high level of what we call atherosclerosis or arterial plaque, which is going to start to build up in your arteries. And when it starts to build up in the arteries, it's going to make the arteries become more narrow, which then puts additional pressure on the heart to pump the blood around the body through those narrow pathways. If you're a person that eats a lot of meat, you have your rice and peas or your rice and chicken or your rice and whatever your carbs and your very diabetic type diet, you have the meat. When you finish the meal, you look on the plate, you see that greasy film forming on the plate. That's when the plate is empty. That greasy film, when the plate starts to get cold or it cools down and you've sat down, you've had your chat after dinner chat, you've had your dessert, you've looked at that plate, that greasy film starts to get hard. When that grease film starts to get hard, in order for you to wash the plates and break it down, you have to use hot water. You've also got to use wash not liquid. You've got to use some kind of decongestant to break it down and wash it. And that's how you wash the plate or wash the dishes. Now, when that same greasy food or that same greasy byproduct of your food happens in your arteries, that same process of that hardening of that grease starts to happen in your arteries. And when that happens in your arteries, that is what is called the atherosclerosis. That's what leads to that plaque. That's what leads to that arterial plaque. That's what starts to slow down, restrict the blood flow to your heart, to your brain. You could end up with a stroke. You could end up with having a heart attack because there's not enough getting enough blood supply or not getting enough oxygen going to your heart. So your diet is another big factor that can contribute to your blood pressure. So when you're looking at how do you get your blood pressure down, you then have to look at all of those different factors and making sure that all of them are brought into balance. You look at your diet, then you got to look at your hydration, your water intake, because your blood is 92% water. If you're a person that has a very active lifestyle and you're always busy, you're always going to the gym, you're on a treadmill, you're pumping weights, and your water intake is not matching your water usage, this is also going to contribute to the quality and the quantity of your blood vessels and their ability to reproduce themselves because they rely heavily on water. Remember, your blood is 92% of your blood is water. So if you haven't got a higher level of water in your system on a daily basis, your blood is always going to be struggling for the ability to reproduce itself. So therefore, you're going to have a lack of oxygen, you're going to have a lack of available cells, which again is going to contribute to you having high levels of high blood pressure that's going to be maintained and sustained. I had a client who came and he was going to the gym 5 days a week. He was a property developer. He was always exercising. He was really trying to take care of his diet, trying to take care of his health, but he could not manage his blood pressure. He couldn't understand why he couldn't manage his blood pressure. Now, when we did his scan, one of the things that we noticed, well, it's just from experience and observation, I said, client, you're doing a great job trying to manage your health. You're really doing well with your food. Your numbers are nice and low. But one thing I'm noticing is that you have a very active level of, let's just say, exercise, because he went to the gym 5 days a week. And he said, yeah, what's wrong with that? I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But when I asked you earlier how much water do you drink, he said he drank 2 liters a day. I said, therein lies your problem. Most people think 2 liters a day is sufficient for them to get by and have a healthy lifestyle because they're getting 2 liters in. That's great. But guess what? If you're drinking 2 liters of water and you're only using 500 mils of it for your daily functions, then you're going to have 1.5 liters surplus, which your body can utilize in all the other functions, moving your food around, absorbing food, digesting food, moving waste, sweating, urination, etc. You've got enough excess water, surplus water to perform those functions. If, on the other hand, you're only drinking 2 liters of water a day, but you're utilizing approximately 4 or even 5 liters, which he was doing because he was going to the gym every day. So it means he's utilizing a lot more water because the muscles are 84% water. So the muscles are requiring a lot of water for them to function. He's also sweating, which is losing more water. He's using saliva. So when you start to look at your usage and you look at your intake, there was a huge deficit. There was a huge deficit between his intake and his usage. So the first thing we identified was that he needs to match or increase his water intake to match his water usage. And once he did that, my goodness, he did it over like a 4 or 5 week period. And he went back and he did his blood tests and he did his blood checks to check the pressure levels. he could not believe how his blood pressure had gone down dramatically, come back into normal range. So Dudley, one of the things I'm not sure if we discussed is with you, you are a person that is on the treadmill. I'm sure you do 3 up to 5 times a week. And Dudley is a fantastic guy, by the way, guys, because Dudley is like 68 and he looks like no more than 45 because he really takes care of himself. But just like my other client who had that issue, I just remember that you go on the treadmill quite frequently. Now, would you be on the treadmill 4 or 5 times a day? And I don't know if you're sweating or not. If you're not sweating when you're on the treadmill, that is another clear sign that your body is lacking water, because it's saying the little bit of water I have, I'm not letting it go. I'm not going to allow you to sweat and get rid of this precious water, because we need it to keep your vital organs functioning. We need it for your heart. We need it for your lungs. We need it for your liver. We need it for your saliva, for your glands. So if you're on the treadmill every day and you're not sweating, that's another sign that your body's very dehydrated. If you're on the treadmill and you are sweating, then that's, again, it can work against you, because if you are sweating, that means you're losing the available amount of water that your body needs in order to perform its function and to keep the blood pressure working and functioning optimally. Because the kidney, a big part of the blood pressure is the kidney, the function of the kidney and osmosis, and the kidney's ability to regulate the fluid motion in your body. So if you haven't got enough water, the kidney's not going to work well, and that's going to affect your blood pressure. Then your potassium level is going to go down. So your potassium is another very important electrolyte or mineral that is highly responsible for regulating and modulating the beats of the heart and all your muscles, in fact. So if you're low in potassium, potassium is also going to have another negative impact on your ability to regulate your heart. So let's look at a quick supplement that you can use to increase your body's ability to regulate the function of the muscles, including the heart. Try or start by increasing your potassium levels. Potassium, these are electrolytes. These are responsible for carrying the signals from your brain to your muscles and to your tissues. So people that have a lot of neuropathy, pain in their muscles, like pins and needles in their feet. Also you as well, Devon, you may want to start looking at increasing your electrolytes, increasing your potassium. Start increasing your intake of coconut water. Coconut water is very rich in potassium. It's not only rich in potassium, it's rich in magnesium. It's rich in all the electrolytes, things like calcium, magnesium, selenium, potassium, phosphorus. These are all important minerals that help to facilitate the movement of signals, electric signals around your body. And those electric signals, they regulate and modulate the beats of your heart and the function of your muscles. So if you're having any kind of problem with your heart or having a problem with your muscles, the first thing to look at is looking at increasing your potassium levels. And oftentimes people don't know what their potassium levels are unless they do a blood test, or if they come and do our body MOT health scan, we will see your levels of potassium. And we can tell you straight away your potassium is very low. This is why you're having that problem. So sometimes these problems are really easy to fix once you know what you're actually trying to fix or address. So I hope that answers your question, Dudley. Let's see if we've got another question. We've probably got time for one more question because we've gone over time a bit now. We did say we're going to do an hour. Looks like we have to do this again sometime. Devon, again, thanks for your advice. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. Thanks. Looks like water is the problem. Thanks. Thank you so much, Dudley. God bless you. So let's just wrap up there, because I said I don't want to go over time, and we're going to go back and edit this and put it out there again so you can share it. But when we do put it out there, please make sure you share it and share with your friends. Invite more men to come and join our Man Restore group on WhatsApp. It's our Effectual Man VIP Health Club. So make sure you've spread the word and told your friends, especially your friends that are struggling with various different conditions. We have a wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience with different conditions and different, especially men problems and female problems, but we have a wealth of knowledge in male health-related problems, and we've had extensive experience over the years of seeing how these problems can be resolved just using food, diet, and making the correct lifestyle changes in the right areas. So let's quickly share the website where you can get hold of these materials that we mentioned. If you want to get hold of the B complex, the vitamin B complex that we mentioned earlier, and some of our other fantastic products, you can go to www. I can type it here. Let me type it here. www.vivonutrients.com. www.vivonutrients.com. vivonutrients.com. You can go there and it will give you all. You just type it in the word B complex, vitamin B complex, B complex or B, just type in B vitamins and all of those products will come up. You can also do a search based on the condition that you're trying to search for. If you search for stuff for diabetes, we have a diabetes combo, we have a blood sugar balance combo, we have a high blood pressure combo. We have so many different combinations because we always recommend people to do things in combination as opposed to doing things in isolation, because the body doesn't work in isolation. The body works as a unit. That's the difference between us and conventional medicine. We look at the things from a holistic perspective, that the body works as a complete holistic unit. It doesn't work as, if you've got this problem, take that problem. If you've got this problem, take that pill. If you've got that problem, take that pill. That's very disjointed and very isolated. The body doesn't work like that. The body needs to have multiple organs serviced in order for a set of problems to be addressed. So if you have a problem with your gut, for example, it may not be necessarily from the gut, it may be coming from the blood, and vice versa. If you have a problem with the blood, it may not necessarily be coming from the blood. You don't just fix the blood, you may have to fix the gut, because that's where the problem is entering to the bloodstream from. So we always recommend you to do things as combinations, so you're addressing multiple organs and multiple systems simultaneously, because that's what the body is designed to do. So thank you so much for everyone that has taken the time to join us this evening. We are going to be doing this again in the very, very near future. We're going to get some feedback from those that have enjoyed it today. And we're also going to put together the recording and put it out there. You'll probably get a text, or if you're in the WhatsApp group, we'll share it in the WhatsApp group. I hope I was able to get through all of the questions. If not, we'll definitely do it on the next edition, which we're hoping to do within the next few weeks. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. God bless you all that have asked the questions. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the part 2. Alrighty, that's me. I'm out. I'm going to end the recording now. But if anybody has any questions, additional questions, I'm going to just leave it on for a second, just to give you the opportunity to give any quick feedback. Right, let's get this one off. If I end it, it might end, because I'm just using this technique for the first time. If I end the session, it might end and close off. But then we're gone. But if not, I may just be able to just pause the recording so we can talk. Okay. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to just pause it. It looks like I have to end it once it ends.